Ever been in a situation where you had the perfect opportunity to get back at someone who wronged you? What did you do? Today we're diving into one of the most intense and character-defining stories ever told. A real-life drama of power, jealousy, and incredible restraint. It's the story of David and King Saul, and it's more than just an ancient tale. It's a masterclass in handling conflict with integrity. So, let's set the scene. Saul is the king of Israel, but his reign has been marked by disobedience and a growing paranoia. On the other hand, we have David, the young shepherd-turned-war hero who defeated Goliath. He's charismatic, beloved by the people, and anointed by the prophet Samuel to be the next king. As you can imagine, this doesn't sit well with Saul, consumed by jealousy. Saul starts seeing David not as a loyal subject but as a direct threat to his throne. This jealousy spirals into an obsession. Saul actively hunts David, forcing him to flee and live as a fugitive in the wilderness. David and his small band of loyal followers are constantly on the move, hiding in caves and desolate places to escape the king's wrath. It's a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with Saul commanding the entire army of Israel to track down one man. Our story takes a dramatic turn in the wilderness of En Gedi. Saul, hot on David's trail with 3,000 elite soldiers, needs to take a break. He steps into a cave to relieve himself. Now, here's the crazy part. Deep inside that very same cave, hidden in the shadows, are David and his men. They can't believe their luck. The man who wants them dead has just walked right into their hands, completely vulnerable and alone. David's men are buzzing with excitement. They see this as a sign from God. They whisper to David, "This is it. This is the day the Lord told you about. He has delivered your enemy into your hands. Do what you think is best." From a purely strategic standpoint, they're right. Taking out Saul would end the chase, end their life on the run, and clear the path for David to become king, just as he was promised. It's the logical move, the easy way out. But David isn't thinking about strategy. He's thinking about something much bigger. He quietly creeps up to the unsuspecting king. His men hold their breath, expecting him to strike, but instead of a sword, David pulls out a knife and silently cuts off a corner of Saul's robe. That's it, just a piece of cloth. He then retreats back into the darkness of the cave. Even this small act weighs heavily on him. The text says David's conscience was struck because he had cut off a piece of Saul's robe. He goes back to his men and says, "The Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed, or lay my hand on him, for he is the anointed of the Lord." He basically tells his men to stand down. This isn't their call to make. Vengeance, he believes, belongs to God. Think about the immense self-control this took. The pressure from his men, the years of being hunted, the constant fear for his life. All of it could have justified a single, fatal blow. But David's respect for the office of the king, for the fact that God himself had chosen and anointed Saul, was stronger than any personal desire for revenge or self-preservation. He saw Saul not just as his enemy, but as God's chosen leader, and that was a line he would not cross. After Saul leaves the cave, David follows him out. From a safe distance, he calls out, "My lord the king." Saul turns around, and David bows down with his face to the ground. Then, David lays out his case. He asks Saul why he listens to people who say David is trying to harm him. And then comes the proof. David holds up the piece of Saul's robe and says, "Look, today the Lord delivered you into my hands in the cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not lay my hand on my Lord, because he is the Lord's anointed. See my father, look at this piece of your robe in my hand. I cut off the corner of your robe but did not kill you. See that there is nothing in my hand to indicate that I am guilty of wrongdoing or rebellion. I have not wronged you, but you are hunting me down to take my life." This moment is incredibly powerful. David isn't just proving his innocence, he's confronting Saul with his own mercy. He's showing Saul that he had the power to end it all but chose not to. He chose grace. Saul is completely broken by this. He hears David's words, sees the proof in his hand, and the weight of his own actions comes crashing down on him. He lifts his voice and weeps. Through his tears, he says to David, "You are more righteous than I. You have treated me well, but I have treated you badly. You have just now told me about the good you did to me. The Lord delivered me into your hands, but you did not kill me." In that moment of clarity, Saul sees David not as a rival, but as a man of true character, a man fit to be king. He even acknowledges David's destiny, saying, "I know that you will surely be king and that the kingdom of Israel will be established in your hands." It's a stunning admission from a man who had been trying to destroy him. Saul recognizes that David's restraint, his choice of mercy over vengeance, is a sign of true leadership. So, what can we learn from this? David's decision teaches us so much about character, faith, and conflict resolution. First, it highlights the power of restraint. In a world that often tells us to stand up for ourselves and get even, David shows a different way. He shows that true strength isn't always about fighting back. Sometimes, it's about having the strength not to. His actions are rooted in a deep faith in God's timing and justice. David truly believed that God had a plan for his life, and that plan didn't involve him taking matters into his own hands. He trusted that if God wanted him to be king, God would make it happen in his own time and in his own way. He didn't need to force it or cut corners. This trust in a higher purpose allowed him to navigate an incredibly dangerous situation with a clear conscience. This story also challenges our conventional ideas about forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't just about saying, "I forgive you." It's about relinquishing your right to get even. David gave up his golden opportunity for a personal vendetta. He chose to honor a principle, respect for God's anointed over his personal feelings. This act of magnanimity, of noble generosity in the face of adversity, ultimately did more to secure his future than killing Saul ever could have. It demonstrated to everyone, including Saul's own men, that David was a man of integrity, a man led by conviction, not by ambition. By choosing mercy, David not only diffused a tense and deadly situation but also transformed his relationship with his enemy. Even if only for a moment, he showed that forgiveness has the power to break cycles of violence and bitterness. Saul's tearful confession shows that David's act of grace had a profound impact, touching the heart of the very man who sought to kill him. Ultimately, David's legacy as Israel's greatest king wasn't just built on his military victories or his psalms. It was built on moments like this, moments of profound moral choice. His refusal to harm Saul wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a demonstration of the highest form of strength. It was a choice that valued long-term peace over short-term gain, and integrity over revenge. This amazing story reminds us that in our own conflicts, big or small, we have a choice. We can choose the path of retaliation, or we can choose the more difficult, but ultimately more rewarding, path of restraint, mercy, and trust. David's story is a timeless example that how we handle our enemies says more about our own character than it does about theirs. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into timeless stories of character and leadership. Let me know in the comments what you think about David's choice. Until next time, God bless.